Billy and Patrick here. This is Working From Home 13. And as said, it is a jam-packed show. We've got loads of guests. We've got, still to come, we've got a DJ who we're going to try and influence his gig at the weekend. We're going to see what we can do with that. We've got Voice Note Vibes, our usual section. But now we have an actual, way more, I was going to say a media professional, Patrick, way more of a media professional than you and me. Because
How dare you?
I know. He's been in the industry probably, our ages put together, although he doesn't look like it. He's been across... Go on.
I was going to say, you can't say that when he's already here. You've probably been in the industry as long as I've been alive, not as long as Billy's been alive. That's what I would say.
Excuse me.
I think I've probably been in the industry as long as your grandparents have been alive. So that's the way it is.
So yes, welcome to the show. A man who's been across BBC One, BBC Two, Channel 5. I mean, pretty much the whole daytime TV. He's mates with Lorraine Kelly. He's mates with Jeremy Vine. He's mates with Dom Littlewood. I mean, no more needs to be said, really. There's always something going on. So welcome to the show, a man of many talents, Julian Dismore.
Thank you very much indeed. You've missed out my favourite credit, which is Horse and Country TV.
Oh, what happened there?
It was a nightmare. We were filming the National Horse eventing something for a week, and it rained so much that the whole gig pretty much got cancelled. But as a man who knows nothing about horses, it was quite a challenge.
I can see something else on your CV here, Julian. Cowboy Trap. Did that help you with the horses? Would you say?
Well, indeed. Well, what I will say is that I've actually filmed a stuntman in Australia with his head up a horse's bottom. It was a most amazing moment where we were filming this series called Stunt School in Australia, and the voiceover artist couldn't actually pronounce his S's, so that was quite a challenge when he said, "Welcome to Stunt School, where thick Australian stunt rookies learn the tricks of the stunt trade." But shortly afterwards, we were filming this stuntman who had the ability to turn around in the horse's saddle and then put his head between the horse's cheeks as it was galloping along at 30 miles an hour. And one of the Australian stunt guys said, "Jeez, mate, don't stick your tongue out."
I mean, they say you shouldn't work with children or animals, but it sounds like your best experiences have been with animals. Is that right?
Well, I was lucky enough to work on a series called O'Shea's Dangerous Reptiles, which was flying around the world filming a herpetologist, a snake and lizard expert from Wolverhampton. We called him Crocodile Dudley. and I was flying all over the world, to the Pacific Rim, to India. I fell off Krakatoa. I got bitten by a king cobra, and I had some amazing experiences. Wildlife is very hard to film because you're waiting for the creatures to turn up and you're tromping through the jungle, and it's tough. It is hard work making wildlife shows, but looking back on it, it is some of the highlights of my career.
I don't want to give too much away, Julian, because we did, we've kind of planned a little true or false for Patrick we're going to do in a little while. So, I'm sure you've got way more in the bag, but I mean, falling off Krakatoa, getting bitten by a cobra is, well, that's enough to last a lot of people a lifetime. But we're going to delve into that in a little while. Tell us what you're up to at the moment. Of course, things are different. The world is different. Everything's different for everyone, really. And a lot of people have, in some cases been affected more than other. Myself, I've been quite lucky to continue working. However, you've been at home quite a lot, and you've had to adapt because of that. And what's been going on? Of course, you're normally on the set of loads of glamorous TV sets and all of that, but how has your world changed?
Well, I wouldn't say glamorous. I'm not a shiny floor kind of guy. I'm not Strictly Come Dancing. I'm a factual program maker. I make documentaries. So the first 2-3 months of this year, up until lockdown, actually, I was in Islington making a series for Channel 5 about the rich and poor living very close to each other. And that was the opposite of glamorous, I can tell you. And I was, trying to find contributors to appear on the program in pouring rain, in cold, horrible conditions, trying to persuade families to be on this show. And then I was lucky enough I can edit. So after lockdown, I was able to edit the series here in my home. So I edited it, delivered to Channel 5, and they said, "Well, it's a bit bleak, Julian. It's a little bit gritty." And I said, "Well, you asked me to make another series like Jaywick, Benefits by the Sea Jaywick, which I made 5 years ago. And I've done that." And they said, "Well, the world's changed a bit. We make it a bit more cheerful." So I changed all the commentary on the program, and I changed all the music and a few of the stories. I made a much more cheerful, upbeat program, which they're very happy with, which goes out in a few weeks' time. We think on a Wednesday night at 9:00. But suddenly, after a couple of weeks off, I realised that it's a bit boring just being at home doing nout, as we say in Yorkshire. I'm a Yorkshireman. So I've started doing training courses from home via Zoom in how to come across well when you're doing a Zoom meeting or Microsoft Teams. I also train students in how to get into television. I mean, you guys are brilliant. You've made your way into the media industries. But that's very, very impressive and surprising because it's very hard to get into show business.
I was going to say,
train students how to do it.
And you're training people on Zoom calls, because at the beginning, like March, April, it was kind of fun. It was like, oh, we're on a Zoom. Oh, you need to unmute yourself. And realistically, people are going to be doing this for months, if not years. And the joke's kind of over in a way.
Well, the world has changed, Paddy, in that, can I call you Paddy?
Of course, yeah.
Excellent. The world has changed in that I think it's changed for good, in that the future is Zoom. The future is Microsoft Teams. If only I'd bought shares in those companies in February, because people love working from home. They can avoid the long commutes. They can save money. Actually, they've found that productivity has increased. So it's here to stay. But people's skills when it comes to being on Zoom, Microsoft Teams, just aren't there yet. I mean, we are all TV presenters now. That's the reality of the matter. And I was watching TV yesterday, and a Labour politician was on the news, and it looked like his chair had slipped, and basically you could just see his nose and his eyes above the frame.
It's remarkable.
And then somebody else came on whose hair was all over the place, and my wife's first expression was, "What has happened to her? She's been dragged through a hedge backwards." And then there's a famous story of a scientist who was on a few weeks back, and he has some very interesting books on the bookshelf behind him, which I don't think he'd be too pleased about when his friends take the mickey out of him down the pub when lockdown, is fully eased. So people make mistakes in terms of the quality of the sound, the background, how they're framed, the light, and they look amateurish. They do look, it reflects badly on the brand, on themselves. So they do need to work on it, and that's how I can help with my courses.
We're quite lucky because we're just doing radio, thankfully. But as you can see, our Zoom setup isn't too great ourselves. And I mean, it's pretty hard to describe to everybody listening what to change because they can't see it. So we won't focus too much on that. We'll kind of ignore the fact that we're not too good at it. And do you think this is going to affect your work going forward, though? So at the moment, obviously, you're focusing a lot on this. In the past, it's been a lot on set and on TV. Do you think it's going to be increasingly a mixture of both going forward?
I think it is. I mean, I've been doing training for 20 years now, but face to face, I've gone to universities and I've gone to companies and law firms and trained them in presentation skills. It was a real moment of epiphany for me when Zoom suddenly transformed this whole training experience. I can do it from home. And I've got a real taste for it, to be honest. I've spent most of the last 10, 15 years leaving Norwich, where I live, on a Monday morning, working in Aberdeen or Belfast or Glasgow or Southampton, and then tromping back on a Friday night exhausted. And TV gets harder and harder to make these days with lower budgets and tighter deadlines and sometimes more and more difficult talent. I'm sure you're great presenters and you're delightful to work with, but talent can be hard to work with. And I'm starting to think, well, maybe I could have an easier life and do a bit more of this training from home where I can chill out on an evening and put my feet up and watch telly with a nice glass of Chianti and have a more civilized work-life balance.
I guess the problem then is when you get to the nice bit in the evening with the wine and the TV, is you're watching the TV, but everyone on the TV's on Zoom, and you're going, oh, I wouldn't have done it like that.
Well, I've had that for the last 30 years, Paddy. If I watch a TV program, I'm always thinking, not sure about that line of com. Oh, I don't like that music. Oh, I'm not sure about that contributor. Oh, this talent's, they can do better than that. That's not a very good take. You know what I mean? So I've deconstructed telly for a long time now. I'm kind of used to it. I
think often you get people doing like a director's commentary. I think it'd be far more interesting to have a different director's commentary on someone else's work.
That is a brilliant idea, actually. Well, I tend to watch programs with my youngest son, Dan, who does his own director's commentary. It's way, way funnier, I think, than a director would be. So I do enjoy that.
We must mention Dan. I mean, one of the most remarkable things I've seen, I sent you a text at the time, actually, after I'd seen it, in terms of perspective and just, I mean, the coming together I've experienced similar with my my family recently. However, you know, incomparable. However, My Life, Danny, the Bravest Boy in the World, is now back on BBC iPlayer. It's only about 40 minutes, I believe, Julian. And as I said to you, it is remarkable. I advise everybody to go and watch it. It's about Julian's son, Danny, and obviously about Julian, his other son, Adam, and the whole family. And I mean, how is Danny at the moment? And what was it like, you know, seeing that come to life on screen and, you know, showcasing what an amazing job you guys do on a daily basis?
Well, the full story is that Danny's got a very rare syndrome called Alfie syndrome, and we were told he would never walk or talk. He proved the doctors wrong then, in that he did walk and he stopped talking after the age of about 3 or 4. And then he had an operation a few years ago on his back, which went wrong, and he became paralyzed from the neck down. Now, remarkably, Danny defied again medical opinion, and he got movement back. Not to the full extent of before, but he got mobility back. He has issues with his eating and with his toileting and various other things. But he's just an amazingly inspirational, funny, witty, and incredible young man. So I would encourage people to go and watch it. It's called, like you say, My Life, Danny, the Bravest Boy in the World. It's on BBC iPlayer. And as from my point of view, it was very, very interesting being on the opposite side of the camera. For many years, I've been making those sort of documentaries, but to be a contributor, being filmed, was a very different experience. And the thing that surprised me was how tiring it is being filmed. And I was hoped to have learned a lesson, which is to push my contributors when I'm directing a bit less and stretch them a bit less. But unfortunately, I did learn that lesson, and I've been just as challenging the people I've been filming on my last series that's going out on Channel 5 quite soon. But I'm so proud of Danny, and it was a really rewarding experience. The feedback we've had, and people have been inspired by him. And I always say that when I'm doing my training courses, that meeting one wise person is better than reading 1,000 books, with the exception of the book I wrote about getting into television, obviously. But people have said to me that watching Danny is inspiring, and it adds wisdom. And it makes you realise that it can be a tough world out there, but if you've got a positive outlook and you battle on, then most things, you can overcome them. And he's certainly done that.
Yeah, he really has. And you did mention his sense of humour, which is hilarious. We watch you guys in the documentary go to visit the Chelsea Football Club, and we see the actual really nice side of some footballers in there. Particularly, I was very impressed with David Luiz, the time and the care and the attention and everything, you know, he spent, you know, sort of giving to you guys in terms of what he could on the day. It was really nice to see. So I would once again advise everybody to go watch it. It's on iPlayer again. My Life, Danny, the Bravest Boy in the World. Yeah, go watch it. I mean, that's as simple as that. Julian, we're going to have a quick break now. Let's listen to, well, we just play bangers on this show, so we'll play another banger. And after that, we'll hit Patrick with a little bit of true or false.